Beyond the highlight reel. Finding true confidence. Elias was the king of Riverside High, a blur of motion on the basketball court. To his thousands of followers, he was a legend, but in the hallways, he was a storm. He walked with a heavy stride, convinced that his talent made him better than everyone else. For Elias, confidence wasn't about his skill. It was about making sure everyone else felt smaller than him. During practice, Mateo struggled with a new defensive drill. Instead of helping, Elias laughed loudly, pointing out the mistake for the whole gym to hear. "Maybe stick to the bench, Mateo," Elias jeered, basking in the awkward silence of his teammates. He thought he was being a leader, but he was actually building a wall between himself and the team. Lyra watched from the sidelines, her camera around her neck. She usually captured Elias's best moments, but today, she kept her lens cap on. After practice, she walked up to him. "There's a difference between being good and being loud, Elias," she said firmly. "Arrogance needs an audience to feel big. Confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to put anyone down to stand tall." Coach Arrogance called Elias over to a wall of old team photos. He pointed to a black and white picture of a player from decades ago. "This man was the best player this school ever saw," the coach said. "But you'll notice he's always in the back of the photos, letting his teammates hold the trophy. He didn't need to be the center of the world to know he was the best. He had character, not just a highlight reel." The next game was supposed to be Elias's greatest show. In the second quarter, he ignored an open teammate to attempt a flashy, logic-defying dunk just to hear the crowd roar. He missed. The ball bounced away, and Elias crashed to the floor. For the first time, the crowd didn't cheer. They groaned. His arrogance had cost the team a certain basket. On the bench, Elias felt the weight of the silence. He looked at Mateo, who was now on the court, playing with a calm, steady intensity. Mateo wasn't doing anything flashy, but he was everywhere the team needed him to be. He was cheering for others, diving for loose balls, and playing with a quiet strength that Elias realized he lacked. After the game, which they narrowly lost, Lyra found Elias outside. He wasn't checking his phone for mentions or tags. "I felt invisible out there," Elias admitted. Lyra shook her head. "You weren't invisible. You were just alone. Arrogance makes you an island, Elias. Confidence makes you a bridge." She handed him his jersey, which he had left on the bench. Elias spent the next week changing his rhythm. He arrived early to help Mateo with his footwork. He stopped looking at the stands for approval and started looking at his teammates' eyes for connection. Coach Arrogance watched from the office, a small smile forming. Elias was finally learning that his value wasn't tied to being the star, but to being a part of something bigger. The championship game was tied with seconds left. Elias had the ball. The old Elias would have taken a forced shot to be the hero, but as the defense swarmed him, he saw Mateo cutting to the basket. Without a second thought, Elias fired a perfect, selfless pass. Mateo caught it and scored the winning layup just as the buzzer sounded. The gym erupted in celebration. Elias didn't look for a camera or wait for a like. He ran straight to Mateo and pulled him into a celebratory hug. He realized that true confidence didn't feel like a heavy crown. It felt like light air in his lungs. He didn't need to be the king of the school anymore. He was happy just being a teammate.